Here's something that catches most people completely off guard. The most dangerous fat in your body isn't the fat you can see in the mirror. It's the fat wrapped around your organs right now, silently driving inflammation, disrupting your hormones, and dramatically increasing your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even dementia. And here's the part that really surprises people. The easiest, most effective way to eliminate this hidden killer fat isn't about counting calories, running marathons, or buying expensive supplements. It's about eating more of the right foods, not less food, more food. Hey, welcome back to Body Decoded. I'm William, and I'm genuinely excited to dive into today's topic with you, because what we're about to explore could completely transform how you think about losing weight and protecting your health. We're talking about visceral fat, the kind of fat that doesn't just sit under your skin making jeans tight. It wraps around your liver, your pancreas, your intestines, your heart, and it's metabolically active, meaning it's constantly releasing inflammatory chemicals into your bloodstream, quietly sabotaging your health from the inside out. Now, the information I'm sharing today comes primarily from the work of Dr. Mark Hyman, a physician and New York Times best-selling author who spent over 30 years in functional medicine. Dr. Hyman is the founder and medical director of the Ultra Wellness Center. He served as chairman of the Institute for Functional Medicine, and he's advised multiple presidential administrations on nutrition policy. He's published more than 15 books on health and nutrition, and his personal journey recovering from chronic illness through food has shaped his entire approach to medicine. He doesn't just study this stuff, he's lived it. Here's what you're going to learn today. We're going to break down exactly what visceral fat is and why it's so much more dangerous than the fat you can pinch. Then I'm going to walk you through the simplest, most sustainable eating approach to eliminate it. Not a restrictive diet that leaves you hungry and miserable. An abundant way of eating that actually satisfies you while melting away the most dangerous fat in your body. You don't need to spend thousands on meal plans or personal trainers. You can start today with food from your regular grocery store. Before we go any further, if you're finding value in this kind of content, hit subscribe and join me on this daily journey of understanding your body and taking back your health. Alright, let's dive in. So first, we need to understand what makes visceral fat so uniquely dangerous. Your body stores fat in two main places. There's subcutaneous fat, which sits right under your skin. That's the fat you can grab with your hand, the stuff that jiggles when you move. It's not ideal if you have too much of it, but it's relatively harmless metabolically. Then there's visceral fat, which lives deep in your abdominal cavity, wrapped around your internal organs. And this fat behaves completely differently. Think of subcutaneous fat like insulation in your walls. It's just there, doing its job, not causing much trouble. But visceral fat is like having a chemical factory operating inside your house 24/7, pumping out toxic fumes into every room. That's because visceral fat cells are metabolically active. They're constantly releasing inflammatory molecules called cytokines, along with free fatty acids that flood into your bloodstream and head straight to your liver. Here's where it gets really interesting. Your liver is essentially the metabolic command center of your body. It processes everything you eat and drink, packages nutrients, filters toxins, and produces the cholesterol and proteins your body needs. But when your liver is constantly being bombarded with fatty acids from visceral fat, it starts to malfunction. It becomes insulin resistant, meaning it stops responding properly to insulin's signal to absorb glucose from your blood. So, your blood sugar stays elevated, your pancreas pumps out more insulin to compensate, and you end up in a vicious cycle that leads straight to type 2 diabetes. And according to research published in the journal Circulation, visceral fat is directly linked to increased cardiovascular disease risk, independent of your total body weight. You can have a normal BMI, you can look relatively lean, but if you're carrying visceral fat, your risk for heart attack and stroke goes up dramatically. Studies have also connected visceral fat to increased dementia risk, certain cancers, and accelerated aging at the cellular level. This isn't just about vanity or fitting into your favorite jeans. This is about the difference between thriving in your 70s and 80s versus spending those years managing chronic disease. Now, you might be thinking, how do I even know if I have visceral fat? Well, the most accurate way is an imaging test, like a CT scan or an MRI. But there's a much simpler method that's surprisingly reliable. Measure your waist circumference. Not where your pants sit, but at the level of your belly button. For men, a waist circumference above 40 inches indicates you're likely carrying significant visceral fat. For women, the threshold is 35 inches. If you're above those numbers, there's a very good chance visceral fat is accumulating around your organs right now. So how does visceral fat build up in the first place? This is where modern eating patterns come into the picture, and not in a good way. Your body is designed to store a little bit of fat as energy reserves. That's normal and healthy. But the standard American diet, loaded with refined carbohydrates, added sugars, and industrial seed oils, creates the perfect metabolic storm for visceral fat accumulation. Here's what's happening. When you eat a meal high in refined carbs and sugar, your blood glucose spikes rapidly. Your pancreas releases a big surge of insulin to move that glucose out of your bloodstream and into your cells. But here's the problem. Your muscle and liver cells can only store so much glucose as glycogen. Once those storage tanks are full, your body has to do something with the excess. So it converts it to fat. And guess where a lot of that newly created fat gets deposited? Deep in your abdomen, as visceral fat. But it gets worse. Those frequent insulin spikes from eating high-carb meals and snacks all day long keep your insulin levels chronically elevated. And when insulin is high, your body can't access stored fat for energy. You're locked in fat storage mode. It's like trying to withdraw money from a bank account, but the teller keeps saying the vault is closed. You can't get to your savings. So you stay hungry. You eat more carbs for quick energy. Your insulin spikes again, and the cycle continues. Meanwhile, visceral fat keeps accumulating. Day a feeder day, year a feeder year. Add to this the fact that most processed foods are also loaded with omega-6 fatty acids from vegetable oils, like soybean oil, corn oil, and canola oil. These oils promote inflammation throughout your body. And inflammation is like gasoline on the visceral fat fire. Chronic inflammation makes your cells more insulin resistant, which means you need even more insulin to manage your blood sugar, which drives even more fat storage. It's a compounding problem. Then there's the stress factor. When you're chronically stressed, whether it's from work, relationships, or just the constant overstimulation of modern life, your body releases cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and in short bursts, it's helpful. It gives you energy and focus to deal with challenges. But when cortisol is elevated all the time, it directly promotes visceral fat storage. Studies show that people with higher cortisol levels consistently carry more abdominal fat, even when controlling for diet and exercise. And let's not forget, sleep deprivation. When you're not getting enough quality sleep, two key hormones get thrown out of balance. Ghrelin, your hunger hormone, goes up. Leptin, your satiety hormone, goes down. The result? You feel hungrier. You crave high-calorie, high-carb foods, and your body's ability to regulate blood sugar and insulin deteriorates. Research published in the Annals of Internal Medicine found that just 4 nights of sleep restriction significantly reduced insulin sensitivity. 4 nights. That's how quickly your metabolism can shy-feed in the wrong direction. So you've got refined carbs and sugar spiking insulin, industrial oils driving inflammation, chronic stress elevating cortisol, and poor sleep sabotaging your hunger signals and insulin sensitivity. It all adds up. Your body's natural fat-burning mechanisms get shut down, and visceral fat accumulates silently, invisibly, year a feeder year. By the time you notice your waist expanding, or your doctor starts expressing concern about your blood work, the process has been going on for a long time. But here's the good news, and this is where things get really exciting. Your body doesn't need miracles or extreme interventions to reverse visceral fat accumulation. It just needs you to stop getting in its way and start creating the right conditions. And the right conditions are simpler than you think. Dr. Hyman calls this approach pegan, a blend of paleo and vegan principles. But honestly, you don't need to get caught up in labels. The core idea is this: eat whole, unprocessed foods that don't spike your blood sugar, reduce inflammation, and allow your body to access stored fat for energy. That's it. Let's break down exactly how to do this. The first method is load up on non-starchy vegetables. And I mean really load up. Fill half your plate at every meal with vegetables like leafy greens, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, zucchini, peppers, asparagus, green beans, and mushrooms. These foods are incredibly nutrient-dense, but very low in calories and carbohydrates. What happens when you eat them? Your body gets a huge influx of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber. But your blood sugar barely moves. No insulin spike. No fat storage signal. Think of it like this. Your body is a car, and insulin is the brake pedal on fat burning. Every time you eat high-carb foods, you're slamming on that brake. But when you fill up on non-starchy vegetables, you're barely touching the brake at all. Your body stays in a metabolic state where it can access stored fat, including visceral fat, and burn it for energy. The fiber in these vegetables is also crucial. Fiber slows down digestion, which means even if you eat some carbs alongside your veggies, the glucose is released into your bloodstream slowly and steadily instead of all at once. This keeps insulin levels low and stable throughout the day. Plus, fiber feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut, and a healthy gut microbiome has been shown to reduce inflammation and improve insulin sensitivity. Research from the journal Cell Metabolism found that people who increased their vegetable and fiber intake significantly reduced visceral fat over 12 weeks, even without restricting total calories. Practically speaking, here's what this looks like. At breakfast, instead of cereal or toast, have a veggie-packed omelet or scrambled eggs with spinach, tomatoes, and mushrooms. At lunch, build a massive salad with mixed greens, cucumbers, peppers, shredded carrots, and top it with grilled chicken or salmon. At dinner, roast a sheet pan full of broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts with olive oil and garlic, and serve it alongside your protein. Snack on raw veggies with guacamole or hummus. The goal is to make vegetables the foundation of every meal, not an afterthought. One caution here. If you're not used to eating a lot of fiber, ramp up slowly. Jumping from almost no vegetables to massive amounts overnight can cause bloating and digestive discomfort. Start by adding 1 extra serving of veggies per day, then gradually increase over a couple of weeks. And make sure you're drinking plenty of water, because fiber needs water to move through your system smoothly. Number 2 is, prioritize high-quality protein at every meal. Protein is your secret weapon against visceral fat, for several reasons. First, protein is highly satiating. It keeps you full and satisfied for hours, which means you're less likely to snack on high-carb junk between meals. Second, protein has a high thermic effect, meaning your body burns more calories digesting and processing protein compared to carbs or fat. And third, protein helps preserve lean muscle mass as you lose fat. Here's why that last point matters so much. Muscle tissue is metabolically active. It burns calories even when you're sitting still. The more muscle you have, the higher your resting metabolic rate, and the easier it becomes to maintain a healthy body composition long term. When people lose weight by cutting calories and doing tons of cardio without eating enough protein, they lose muscle along with fat. Their metabolism slows down, and they end up gaining the weight back, eaten as even more visceral fat. Think of protein like the crew renovating your house. If you don't give them enough materials, they can't rebuild and maintain the structure properly. Your body needs a steady supply of amino acids, from protein to repair tissues, build enzymes and hormones, and keep your metabolism running strong. According to research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, people who consumed higher amounts of protein while losing weight retained significantly more muscle mass and lost more visceral fat compared to those eating lower protein diets. The sweet spot seems to be around 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you're aiming for roughly 105 to 150 grams of protein daily. What does this look like in real life? A palm-sized portion of protein at every meal. That could be eggs, chicken, turkey, grass-fed beef, wild-caught fish like salmon or cod, or plant-based options like lentils, chickpeas, or tempeh. If you're having eggs for breakfast, aim for 3 whole eggs or 2 whole eggs plus some egg whites. At lunch and dinner, a piece of fish or chicken about the size of your palm, roughly 4 to 6 ounces. If you're plant-based, a cup of cooked lentils, or a hearty serving of tempeh or tofu. One important note: quality matters. Choose organic, pasture-raised, or wild-caught, whenever possible. Conventionally raised meat contains residues of antibiotics and hormones that can disrupt your own hormonal balance. Farmed fish can be high in inflammatory omega-6 fats and contaminants. You don't have to be perfect, but the closer you can get to clean, high-quality protein sources, the better your results will be. The third method is embrace healthy fats without fear. For decades, we've been told that eating fat makes you fat and clogs your arteries. That advice has been a disaster. The truth is, healthy fats are essential for burning visceral fat. They don't spike your insulin, they keep you satisfied for hours, and they provide the raw materials your body needs to produce hormones and absorb fat-soluble vitaminoids like A, D, E, and K. Think of healthy fats like the oil in your car's engine. Without enough oil, the engine overheats and breaks down. Your body is the same way. Fat is needed for brain function, hormone production, cell membrane integrity, and reducing inflammation. When you eat healthy fats, your body gets the signal that it's well-fed and safe to burn stored fat for energy. But when you're constantly eating low-fat, high-carb foods, Your body thinks resources are scarce and holds on to every bit of fat it can. Dr. Hyman emphasizes fats from whole food sources like avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, and fatty fish. These fats are anti-inflammatory and support healthy insulin sensitivity. Research from the journal Diabetes Care found that people who replaced refined carbs with healthy fats significantly reduced their visceral fat and improved their metabolic markers, even without reducing total calorie intake. Here's how to add more healthy fats to your day. Drizzle extra virgin olive oil over your salads and roasted vegetables. Add half an avocado to your breakfast or lunch. Snack on a handful of raw almonds, walnuts, or pecans. Cook with coconut oil or avocado oil instead of vegetable oil. Eat fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, or sardines 2 to 3 times per week. And don't be afraid to eat the egg yolks. That's where most of the nutrients are. One caution: stick to whole food fats and avoid industrial seed oils like soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, and margarine. These oils are highly processed, prone to oxidation, and loaded with inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids. They're found in almost all packaged snack foods, baked goods, and restaurant meals. Read labels carefully and cook at home as much as possible so you control what goes into your food. Method number 4 is eliminate added sugar and refined carbohydrates. This is the single most powerful dietary change you can make to reduce visceral fat. I know, easier said than done. Sugar is everywhere and it's addictive. But here's the deal. Every time you eat sugar or refined carbs like white bread, pasta, crackers, or pastries, you're sending a direct fat storage signal to your body. Your blood glucose spikes, insulin floods your system, and any excess energy gets shuttled into fat cells, especially visceral fat cells. It's like throwing gasoline on a fire every few hours and then wondering why the fire keeps growing. You can exercise all you want, you can eat vegetables and protein, but if you're still consuming sugar and refined carbs regularly, you're sabotaging your progress. Think of sugar like a toxic relationship. It feels good in the moment, it gives you a quick hit of pleasure and energy, but it's slowly destroying you from the inside. And just like a toxic relationship, the only way to break free is to cut it off completely, at least for a while, until you reset your metabolism and your taste buds. Studies consistently show that reducing sugar intake leads to rapid reductions in visceral fat. A study published in the journal Obesity found that participants who cut added sugars from their diet lost significantly more visceral fat over 8 weeks compared to those who simply reduced total calories but kept eating sugar. Your body responds fast when you remove this metabolic poison. Practically, this means cutting out soda, sweetened coffee drinks, fruit juice, candy, cookies, cakes, ice cream, and anything with added sugar in the ingredients list. That includes so-called healthy sugars like agave nectar, coconut sugar, and honey. Sugar is sugar. Your body doesn't care if it came from a beehive or a factory. It all spikes your insulin. What about fruit? Whole fruit is fine in moderation, especially berries, which are lower in sugar and high in antioxidants. A cup of blueberries or strawberries as a snack or added to plain yogurt is great. But fruit juice, even fresh squeezed, is basically sugar water without the fiber to slow absorption. And tropical fruits, like bananas, mangoes, and pineapples, are higher in sugar, so keep those to occasional treats rather than daily staples. For refined carbs, the rule is simple. If it's white and fluffy, it's probably spiking your blood sugar. White bread, white rice, pasta, crackers, pretzels, bagels, all of these break down into glucose almost as fast as pure sugar. Swap them for small amounts of whole grains, like quinoa, wild rice, or steel-cut oats, if you tolerate grains well. But honestly, most people trying to eliminate visceral fat see faster results by minimizing even whole grains for a few months and focusing on vegetables, protein, and healthy fats. I know this sounds restrictive, but here's the thing. Once you get through the first couple of weeks, your cravings disappear. It's debut. Your energy stabilizes. You stop experiencing those brutal afternoon crashes, and your taste buds adapt. Foods that used to taste bland suddenly taste sweet and satisfying. It's like turning down the volume on noise pollution. At first, it feels uncomfortable, but then you realize how much better you feel in the quiet. One caution: if you've been eating a high-sugar, high-carb diet for years, you might experience some withdrawal symptoms in the first few days. Headaches, irritability, fatigue, brain fog. That's your body adjusting to burning fat for fuel, instead of running on a constant drip of glucose. It's temporary. Push through it. Stay hydrated, get plenty of sleep, and keep your meals full of protein, fat, and vegetables. By day 4 or 5, you'll start to feel amazing. The 5th way is practice time-restricted eating. You don't have to do a crazy fasting protocol or skip meals for days, but giving your body a consistent daily break from food, usually 12 to 16 hours, can have a profound impact on visceral fat loss. When you stop eating at night and don't eat again until the next morning, your insulin levels drop and stay low. This gives your body a window of time to access stored fat for energy. Think of it like this. Imagine your body is a bank account. Every time you eat, you're making a deposit. When insulin is high, the vault is locked, and you can't make withdrawals. But when you stop eating for several hours, insulin drops, the vault opens, and your body can finally access its savings, which is your stored fat, including visceral fat. Dr. Hyman recommends a simple approach. Finish dinner by 7 or 8 p.m., and don't eat again until 7 or 8 a.m. the next morning. That's a 12-hour fasting window. If you want to extend it, you can push breakfast to 10 or 11 a.m., giving yourself a 14 to 16-hour fast. During the fasting window, you can have water, black coffee, or plain tea, but no calories. Research published in Cell Metabolism showed that participants who practiced time-restricted eating for 12 weeks lost significant amounts of visceral fat and improved their insulin sensitivity, even without changing what they ate. Just changing when they ate made a huge difference. In practice, this might mean having your last meal at 7 p.m., a dinner of grilled salmon with roasted broccoli and a side salad. Then you close the kitchen. No snacking on chips or popcorn while watching TV. No late-night ice cream. You brush your teeth, drink some herbal tea if you want, and go to bed. The next morning, you wake up, have some water or black coffee, and wait until you're actually hungry before eating. Maybe that's 9 a.m. Maybe it's 11. Listen to your body. One important note. If you have a history of disordered eating, or if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, time-restricted eating might not be appropriate for you. And if you're on medications that need to be taken with food, talk to your doctor before changing your eating window. For most people, though, this is a simple, sustainable practice that fits easily into daily life. Method number 6 is move your body consistently. But you don't need to kill yourself in the gym. Visceral fat responds incredibly well to movement, but it doesn't require hours of intense cardio. In fact, research shows that strength training and high-intensity interval training are far more effective at reducing visceral fat than long, slow cardio. Here's why. When you do strength training, you're building muscle. And as we talked about earlier, muscle is metabolically active. It burns calories even at rest. The more muscle you have, the easier it is to maintain a healthy body composition. Strength training also triggers the release of growth hormone and testosterone, both of which promote fat loss and muscle building. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT, involves short bursts of intense effort, followed by periods of rest or low-intensity movement. Think 30 seconds of sprinting, followed by 90 seconds of walking, repeated for 15 to 20 minutes. This type of training creates an afterburn effect, where your body continues burning calories at an elevated rate for hours of feeder. The workout is done. Studies show that HIIT specifically targets visceral fat, even more effectively than steady-state cardio. Think of steady-state cardio like mowing the lawn with a push mower. It takes a long time and burns some energy, but it's not very efficient. Strength training and HIIT are like using a powerful riding mower. You get the job done faster, with better results, and you build something valuable in the process, which is muscle. Practically, aim for at least 2 to 3 strength training sessions per week. This could be life-adding weights at the gym, bodyweight exercises at home like push-ups, squats, lunges, and planks, or resistance band workouts. Start with basic movements that work multiple muscle groups at once: squats, deadlifts, presses, rows. If you're new to strength training, consider working with a trainer for a few sessions to learn proper form and avoid injury. For HIIT, you can do this on a bike, treadmill, or even just running outside. Warm up for 5 minutes, then do 8 to 10 rounds of 20 to 30 seconds of maximum effort, followed by 60 to 90 seconds of easy recovery. Finish with a cool down. 2 to 3 times a week is plenty. You don't need to do this every day. Your body needs rest to recover and adapt. And don't underestimate the power of daily walking. Walking is low impact, easy on your joints, and incredibly effective for reducing stress and improving insulin sensitivity. Aim for at least 30 minutes a day, ideally outside in natural light. Walk a feeder meals if you can. Studies show that a 15-minute walk a feeder eating significantly blunts blood sugar spikes, which means less insulin release and less fat storage. One caution: more is not always better. If you're overtraining, constantly exhausted, or pushing your body past its limits without adequate recovery. You'll elevate cortisol levels, which, as we discussed, promotes visceral fat storage. Listen to your body. Rest when you need to rest. Movement should energize you, not deplete you. The seventh method is manage your stress and prioritize sleep. I know, this isn't strictly about diet, but it's just as important. You can eat perfectly and exercise regularly, but if you're chronically stressed and sleep deprived, your body will hold on to visceral fat like its life depends on it. Because, from your body's perspective, it does. Chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated, and high cortisol directly signals your body to store fat, especially around your abdomen. It also increases cravings for high-calorie comfort foods and makes you more insulin-resistant. It's a triple whammy. Think of stress like leaving your car engine running all night. It wears down the system, wastes fuel, and eventually something breaks. Your body needs downtime to repair, rebuild, and reset. That's what sleep and stress management provide. Research from the journal Psychosomatic Medicine found that people with higher perceived stress levels carried significantly more visceral fat, even after controlling for diet and physical activity. And a study in sleep showed that adults who slept less than 6 hours per night had substantially more visceral fat than those who slept 7 to 8 hours. So what can you do? First, prioritize sleep. Aim for 7 to 9 hours per night. Create a consistent bedtime routine. Turn off screens at least an hour before bed. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. Avoid caffeine after noon and alcohol close to bedtime, both of which disrupt sleep quality. For stress management, find what works for you. Meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga, spending time in nature, journaling, talking to a friend, playing with your dog, whatever helps you feel calm and grounded. Even 5 to 10 minutes a day can make a real difference. Dr. Hyman personally practices meditation every morning, and he credits it as one of the key factors in his own health transformation. And here's something a lot of people overlook. Chronic exposure to blue light from phones, computers, and TVs, especially at night, disrupts your circadian rhythm and suppresses melatonin production, which messes with your sleep and metabolism. Try using blue light blocking glasses in the evening. Or better yet, just turn off the screens and read a book, take a bath, or have a real conversation with someone you care about. One caution: if you're dealing with serious chronic stress or trauma, don't just try to power through it. Talk to a therapist or counselor. Mental health is foundational to physical health. You can't out-diet or out-exercise unresolved emotional pain. The eighth and final method is consider intermittent fasting, or a ketogenic approach for a short period. This is more advanced, and it's not necessary for everyone. But for people who have a lot of visceral fat to lose, or who have been following the previous methods and hit a plateau, these strategies can be incredibly effective. Intermittent fasting, beyond the basic time-restricted eating we discussed earlier, involves longer fasting periods. For example, eating only during a 6 to 8 hour window each day, or even doing a full 24-hour fast once or twice a week. During these extended fasts, insulin stays very low, and your body shifts into deep fat-burning mode. Growth hormone levels increase. Autophagy, which is your body's cellular cleanup process, kicks into high gear, and visceral fat melts away. A ketogenic diet involves drastically reducing carbohydrate intake to around 20 to 50 grams per day, and increasing fat intake so that your body switches from burning glucose to burning ketones, which are produced from fat. When you're in ketosis, your insulin levels are consistently low, inflammation drops, and your body becomes a fat-burning machine. Studies show that ketogenic diets are particularly effective at reducing visceral fat and improving metabolic health markers like blood sugar, triglycerides, and HDL cholesterol. Think of intermittent fasting and keto like hitting the reset button on your metabolism. It's not a permanent way of eating for most people, but doing it for a few weeks or months can break through stubborn fat loss plateaus and jumpstart your progress. Practically, if you want to try intermittent fasting, start with a 16-hour fast and an 8-hour eating window. For example, eat between noon and 8 p.m. and fast from 8 p.m. to noon the next day. Drink plenty of water, black coffee, or herbal tea during the fasting period. Listen to your body. If you feel weak, dizzy, or unwell, break the fast and eat something. For a ketogenic approach, focus on eating high-quality fats, moderate protein, and very low carbs. Meals might include avocado and eggs for breakfast, a salad with olive oil and grilled chicken for lunch, and salmon with roasted Brussels sprouts cooked in butter for dinner. Avoid all grains, starchy vegetables, most fruits, and obviously all sugar. One important caution: both intermittent fasting and ketogenic diets can have side effects, especially in the first week or two as your body adapts. You might experience fatigue, headaches, irritability, or what people call the keto flu. These symptoms are temporary. Stay hydrated, get enough salt, magnesium, and potassium, and give your body time to adjust. And if you have any underlying health conditions, especially diabetes or kidney disease, talk to your doctor before trying these approaches. Now, before we wrap up, I need to give you a sincere reminder. Everything I've shared today is educational information, not medical advice. I'm not a doctor, and this content doesn't replace a conversation with your healthcare provider. If you have existing health conditions like diabetes, heart disease, eating disorders, or if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, please talk to your doctor before making significant changes to your diet or lifestyle. Some of these strategies might not be appropriate for you, or they might need to be modified based on your individual situation. Your health is too important to leave to guesswork, so please get professional guidance. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Visceral fat isn't a life sentence. It's not a reflection of your character or your willpower. It's a metabolic consequence of modern eating and living patterns that we were never designed for. But your body is remarkably adaptive when you remove the obstacles, when you stop flooding your system with sugar and processed food, when you eat real whole foods that don't spike your insulin, when you move consistently and manage your stress, your body knows exactly what to do. It starts burning the visceral fat for energy, inflammation drops, insulin sensitivity improves, your energy stabilizes, your mood lifts, your risk for chronic disease plummets. This isn't about perfection. You don't have to eat flawlessly every single day for the rest of your life, but consistent daily choices matter. Choosing vegetables over bread, choosing water over soda, choosing a walk-a-feeder dinner over another hour on the couch. These small decisions compound over time. They add up to profound changes in your metabolic health and your quality of life. The easiest diet to eliminate visceral fat isn't really a diet at all. It's a return to eating the way humans ate for thousands of years before food became a science experiment. Whole foods, real ingredients, meals that satisfy you and nourish you at a cellular level. That's it. You already have everything you need to start. You don't need a fancy meal plan or expensive supplements. Just a commitment to choosing differently, one meal at a time. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. If you found this helpful, please hit that like button and drop a comment below. Let me know what resonated with you or what changes you're planning to make. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos where we keep decoding your body and uncovering the simple, powerful strategies that help you take back your health. And remember, lasting health doesn't come from huge changes overnight. It comes from small choices, done right, repeated every single day. I'll see you in the next one, right here on Body Decoded.